Watch us too. We are on your computer, your mobile device. Just head on over to SuperTalk TV. And today we're talking with Selena Swartzfager. She's the president of MCEE, Mississippi Council on Economic Education. They have a great event coming up for families and financial literacy, which I think is a good thing. So while we're talking about that, you send us your best financial advice, 601-879-4395. And as I said it, I cringed myself. I said, not financial advice in terms of like planning and all that, more of like financial responsibility advice. Not like we ain't looking for, investments and kind of like all that.
I thought this will be interesting to see what.
I meant more like advice for families. Just either do you budget, do you not budget, do you have tips or tricks when it comes to kids, kind of that kind of advice, or what worked for your family. I think sometimes we can get some of our best advice from those that have gone before. But
Absolutely.
Selena, this is great. I shared, I've got a 13-year-old. We're walking through this, trying to make it like family conversation. And I think more families need the right tools to have those conversations. So let's talk first about your organization. What do you guys do on an actual daily basis?
Yeah, so on a daily basis, we have a mission to increase economic and financial literacy across the state. But we have really specific ways that we do that. So primarily, we are educating teachers, teaching teachers to teach our children. And we're doing that with teachers who are kindergarten through 12th grade. So you're never too young. Mm-hmm. There are plenty of tools out there that can be used to teach even the youngest of our children. And then we follow up with those trainings with competitions, and other student activities such as the stock market game or the economics challenge or the personal finance challenge. So then we also are planning family type events, right? Like Family Financial Fun Night. And when these first became a thing, anybody who's familiar with the nonprofit world knows you have to be really careful about mission creep, because we're here, we feel like to save the world, and we want to do all the things, but an economics principle is that wants are unlimited, but resources are limited, right?
Yes.
And so that is true, for the Mississippi Council on Economic Education. So I pushed back for a minute because I thought, well, it's not teachers and it's not students, but it's super important. So we did it. We just jumped in, and this is the one event that we do where we work with families.
Which is important because that's who is sort of reinforcing. We talk about a lot too, like kids teaching up. I mean, it really worked well with the tobacco movement and some other things, kids coming home and
Absolutely.
saying. And I think this is one of the ways that kids could teach up if they wanted to or had the right principles. But also to doing it as a family, I think is so important to also reinforce what you guys are teaching them in school.
We have heard from parents, not related necessarily to Family Financial Fun Night, but we've heard from parents, say at the Stock Market Game Awards ceremony, when their child is being recognized for high performance, say, I never thought about investing until my child came home from school.
I felt gypped, Selena.
Yeah.
We didn't have those games back in the day.
No, we didn't. And so now in Mississippi, there is no barrier to entry on playing the stock market game. We provide free training to the teachers online, on demand. Thanks to many generous sponsors, there are no team fees for students. In the summertime, there's a summer camp, online summer camp for parents and children to do together. So I look at it as one of the easiest ways to become introduced to some of the financial literacy tools and knowledge that we promote.
Do you feel like, Selena, times are changing? That's a loaded question or statement,
right?
But I look back and I'm like, family finances weren't really talked about in around the dinner table, and I think there is a level of like that shouldn't always be shared. Now, my parents did a great job of teaching me how to balance a checkbook, opened me up early, that kind of like thing. But beyond your basic, bank account, there wasn't a whole lot of like conversation on financial literacy that sort of happened.
Yeah. In fact, it was taboo, right? I mean,
you don't ask what your parents made.
No.
You don't ask about like, or you don't ask with anybody. Like those type of like, it just felt like money was one of those things that you just didn't ask too many questions about.
That's correct. And as times change, there are so many new ways to get into trouble with finances that it becomes, to me, more and more important that we make this a conversation that we have with our children. We've probably made mistakes, right? We were talking about that a little bit before we came on air. We're all going to make financial mistakes. It's just, let's try to minimize them so that they don't happen often. And when they do happen, it doesn't involve a lot of money. So I could talk to you all day about mistakes that I made.
I told you about the first time I bounced a check married, called my mom in tears, rolling quarters for groceries.
Oh my goodness!
But those they felt very heavy at the moment, and I wouldn't trade those, Selena, for anything.
That's right,
because it taught us, like, in the real moment of like how to better communicate and balance and all that. When it didn't, I'm not going to say it didn't matter. No one should bounce a check or check, but what we're talking about. Low digits.
Yes, exactly. But, a lot of parents don't have this knowledge.
Right.
They don't know. So the MCEE has been around for about 23 years. And, boy, it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? Because we are working with teachers who are working with children that could be as young as kindergarten, and then they've got to grow up to be adults and then become adults, and hopefully they've gotten the message over and over again. So by the time they have their own money, they at least know to go to people to ask questions if they don't have the answer. So, it's just a long-term thing. And if we can...
If you've been around 23 years, have y'all seen some of those kindergartners who are now young adults? Who understand compound interest?
Right. Well, so they understand it at the moment. If you come if you were to attend the Personal Finance Challenge, which is every year in April, you would be amazed at what these students know at the middle and high school levels because they've been taught in the classroom. But I guess where I was going with the parent thing, I don't know, somebody could do the math and tell me if we reached a kindergartner back in 2005, like how old they would be now. They're adults now, right? I mean, just that makes sense.
That's at least 20 years.
Yeah. And
so they've just graduated. They're probably they could still be in college, but they're out of high school for sure.
So it's a very long-term process. And we have the teachers teaching it in the classroom, but we also need the parents reinforcing it at home. So for the parents who never got this education, and there are still a lot of them out there.
And there's some like me who still need it.
Right.
We all have places where we could grow, and financial literacy is one for me.
Listen, I work in this field, and there are times that I have to look things up. And I'm not an expert, right? Like, I facilitate the process of training teachers to teach basic financial literacy and economics. But I was talking with someone the other day about the ABLE accounts for individuals that have disabilities. And I told him, I said, the customer doesn't have to know all the answers. They just need to know where to go to get their questions answered. So that's part of the educational process. And so these family financial fun nights, they are run by, like, we have volunteers. So I want to mention that State Farm is the organization that sponsors the organization. So they pay the bills, but it takes lots of volunteers to show up that night and facilitate the activities. And so some of those people will be insurance agents, and some of them will be bankers, and have jobs like that where the next day there's no selling at all that's going on at the event. But the next day, if I think, well, I don't have a bank account, because in Mississippi we still have a lot of unbanked and underbanked families. Well, you know what? I met a banker last night, and now maybe I'm not so scared to pick up the phone and call, or I don't have insurance. So now I understand that I really should have some insurance. And I think a lot of times with financial literacy decisions, we don't make them out of fear.
Oh, absolutely. And not enough information, or not knowing the right person to call, which I think is great. All right, we got more with Selena coming up next here on Good Things. FM, also streaming from that SuperTalk Mississippi app and on your local SuperTalk Mississippi radio station. You can watch us too. We are on your computer, your mobile device. Just head on over to SuperTalk TV. Continuing our conversation with Miss Selena. She's the president of the MCEE, Mississippi Council on Economic Education, and they've got some financial family fun nights coming up across the state. And I just love this. I think this is something that's great. We've had a good time laughing about it. But at the end of the day, your financial stability isn't a laughing matter, right?
No, it's not.
And the earlier you can teach your kids financial stability, then the sooner they get off your payroll.
That is the truth. And we all...
And stay off of it.
We all strive for that one day. My youngest son just got off the payroll. Yeah. At 23, got a big boy job, and
when I got married, I will never. My dad he said, not only did I give you her hand in marriage, but I gave you her hand in finance.
That's the way it goes.
Don't come back.
That's right. That is so true.
But you want them to have a good foundation, whether married or not, and all the things. So these and you sounds like you guys are making these nights fun, and they are across the state. So when have they happened? When are they happening? Tell us about these fun nights.
Yeah. So we have been doing these on and off for 5-6 years. During COVID, we went virtual, so we didn't stop. We just had all the families Zoom in instead. But we've done them in Jackson, Kosciuszko, Tupelo, Gulfport, Vicksburg. I think those are all of our, and we've been to some of those locations multiple times for different organizations. And it can be offered either as an elementary school program or a middle high school program. So sometimes we might do in Jackson an elementary school program and then the next year go to the middle high school. So we've been inside of schools. We've been to Boys and Girls Clubs. We've been to Hines Community College over in Vicksburg. We worked with United Way in Vicksburg. So what I have found is that it really is a good idea for us to partner with organizations, especially if they're not in Jackson, because this is where we are located. If we're going into another city or town, to have an organization that will help us get the word out is super important. And sometimes to find volunteers because
that's important, that are in the finance business world.
Or at least, I mean, they don't have to be bankers because you don't have to be a banker to know how to budget,
Right, yeah.
So, but I would say you need to be somebody who has a passion for financial literacy and has a basic understanding. You don't create anything. Like, we provide you with the lessons and the resources. So those are where these have taken place. We are partnering on this next one with Millsaps College. So it will be on the Millsaps College campus. And with a local, it's a national sorority, but with the Jackson chapter of a sorority that is helping with a lot of our volunteers. Their education committee is working on this project. So at this point, we're just promoting it and trying to get families to sign up to join us that night. It will be on Tuesday, September 30th from 6 to 8 p.m. We start with a meal because everybody's hungry at 6 o'clock, right? And you can't think if you're hungry. So people will show up, will feed you. And then I have a facilitator by the name of Kenneth Nelson who does these for me around the state. And he will get the ball rolling. The facilitators at the stations, there are generally 5 stations. We could do more, but then we'd have to be there longer than 2 hours, right? We're limited by time. So at the high school event, we will have a station on career exploration because that ultimately determines what your income will be.
Which I think is a good conversation to have with kids.
Absolutely.
Because there's some people that would have made a different choice had they, and don't just Google it. Actually find somebody who works where you, in the city you want to work with, and ask those questions, because those mean numbers, like mean average on Google does not take into account account for maybe like Mississippi numbers.
No, it doesn't. So we want, people may not think of that as being a financial literacy topic,
absolutely is.
but it is, yeah. So we start with career exploration, and then we talk about payday and taxes. Some of these children will have part-time jobs and will already know what it means to get a paycheck, but not all of them will. So we look at what that looks like, what's taken out of a check before you ever get it, why they do that, things of that nature. We'll do a bank statement scavenger hunt, which as we move forward, I'm not sure how many people really manage their bank accounts like paper and pencil and all this.
I used to have a folder, and your bank statement came with the 3-hole punch already in it, and you kept up with it.
Now
it's all digital.
It's digital, which is fine, but as I'm talking, I'm thinking we might need to update that activity. And then we'll do a budgeting game with Smarties. So it's pretty, like you said, we make it fun. They choose how they're going to spend their money, which are the Smarties, and then we throw a wrench in it and say, okay, well, your hours got cut at work this week, and now you don't have as much money, so what are you not going to purchase?
You ran over a nail and need a new tire.
And somebody was telling me the other day, when you need one tire, you need four tires, and it's $1,000.
It never comes at a good time.
No. So we're talking about that type of thing, borrowing money, insurance, investing, and credit worthiness. Those are the topics that we'll talk about. So the student must be accompanied by a parent or a guardian, and they will start at a station, and the station will be manned by volunteers who have been trained on how to run their activity. Each activity only lasts for about 10 minutes. We probably, once again, we could take more time, but people don't have unlimited time. So they'll spend about 10 minutes at each table, and then the bell rings and they rotate. So by the end of the night, they have rotated through all of the activities. The parents have probably learned some things.
Yeah.
The children have learned some things. The parents have made connections, and we've started that conversation with the parent and the child. So if they didn't know how to breach the topic of money at home before, we send them home with resources. They'll receive workbooks that have activities in them, age appropriate. So if it's an elementary school event, it'll be K2 and 3-5. And then for the one that we're doing here in Jackson in September, we'll have middle school 6th through 8th grade books and high school 9th through 12th. So it makes it really easy for them just to take that information home if they want to and continue having those lessons and conversations about what to do with money.
Do you need a ticket? Do you need to sign up?
You do have to sign up. It's free, although free, like, there is no such thing as a free lunch, right? Yeah, you have to give your time. Yeah. So that's the cost, is that you have to give 2 hours to this event. But there's no cost, but you must sign up. And you do that on our website at mscee.org.
Can both parents come, or
yes.
is it just one parent?
No, both parents can come. That's fine. There's a way to register both parents and multiple children. So if you have more than one child you'd like to bring, because that's a pretty wide range of grades, 6 through 12, you could conceivably have 2 or 3 children in that group. Come on, bring the family.
How do you get involved in the stock market game for the kids?
Yeah,
is that at schools, or
that is at school? Although we would not. It could be at school. It can be in an after-school program. I've never had a parent call and say, can I put together a team of students? But if they did call me and ask that, I'd probably say yes. It is not generally a one-student activity, right? We want them to be on teams because there are other lessons that are being learned, such as teamwork and collaboration and communication skills and things of that nature. So the teams, generally 3 to 5 students apiece. If you have over 5, then somebody ends up without a job to do, and they're just sitting back letting everybody else make the choices. But
as long as they're making money, put me in that slot.
Yeah. we have 2 trading sessions. One is going on in the fall, and you can jump in anytime. You don't have to It's not necessary that you start it on day one. It runs throughout the fall semester, and there will be winners in the different categories: elementary, middle, high school. And then there's another trading session that picks up in January when school starts back up.
How do we learn all about this, Selena?
It is all at mscee.org, every bit of it.
Super good stuff. All right, and that is coming up September the 30th right here in Jackson for
At Millsaps College.
middle school and high school, correct?
That's correct.
All right, you guys stick with us. We got more for you.